I am looking at the agenda. I mean, there's only one item on it, but I'd like to have an approval of the agenda and the minutes from last meeting if possible.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Okay. Josh, is it you presenting our legislative session?
Want to approve the minutes?
Oh, so
Minutes and agenda.
Yeah, I need a separate motion for
need a separate one? Okay.
He only said agenda too.
Oh, dang it. Can I do both at the same time?
Catch BJ.
I don't think so. I think it has to be two.
Okay.
That's why I make the big bucks.
You do the minute.
Well, are there any adjustments to the minutes from last time?
I didn't see any either.
Did you see any, BJ?
No, I move to approve the minutes.
You got a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Now we can move on to our legislative session, seeing as there's no consent agenda items or administrative session items. And there's no one here for public comment. So Springville Public Works is proposing an amendment to our Title 11 code. And so are we waiting on anyone to present that?
Jeff presenting?
Nice.
Waiting.
Well,
Sorry about that.
no, it's okay. Maybe we got started a little prematurely.
Oh, who were we waiting? I thought it was Josh.
Jeff's presenting.
Jeff.
Public Works.
Hefe.
Yeah.
Probably putting some finishing touches on.
Great.
I kind of do.
I mean, the mic's all yours.
He could have been here as a member of the public to speak.
That's true.
When I think about it.
Except there's a belief that they have undue influence on council members, especially brothers.
Yeah, whatever I say, he does.
I didn't,
Wild.
I didn't know that until he just told me 5 minutes ago.
Oh,
That they
really?
were brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are
Can't tell the back.
not,
Now we know.
Everyone knows.
they're about as different as a couple brothers get,
Yeah,
I think.
I'm just waiting for him to take a position so I can take the opposite one.
That's about the size of it.
That's how it works.
I think not, brother. I beg to differ.
Yeah, there you go.
I love nothing more than to cancel his vote out in all things in the city.
Is there another sibling who then always wins?
Jessa?
No, the youngest sister. She's the golden child. Yeah, so she gets to pull that card all the time.
I survived cancer. You know this.
Well, it sounds like she's the baby too.
She is
She's the baby too, so.
the favorite. You ever seen that Curb Your Enthusiasm skit? Where Larry David finds someone in the voting line. It's a way long voting line, and he finds someone in the voting line who's voting the opposite way, or for the other person, and he says, "Do you want to just head out, you and I? Cancel each other's votes out. Do you want to just not?" Yeah.
We'll make their job easier.
So great.
One of the few shows out there that's willing to take on the hard stuff still.
Yeah, they're funny.
I will say it was up
While we're waiting, everyone who wanted to be signed up for APA is now signed up,
Middle.
and the stuff got sent out, so.
Oh, you know,
I went
You
to
going?
BYU. And then I left. My husband works for the state, and we got married a month before I graduated. So that was pretty much. I'm here in Utah now.
I believe it.
That was how that ended.
I get that.
Utah was.
I mean, he has family.
I miss you.
No, my sister has since moved here, so she lives in Saratoga now.
Just I'll ask.
Which is really nice to have
Here,
a family member.
you can
'Cause
use this
before
one.
I was just here by
I have.
myself.
I've read it. The staff report.
Pretty sure there was
and the
more.
minutes.
Eating dinner at my mom's
All
every other
of them?
Sunday.
All 13?
As I was like looking through it, 'cause I-
That's incredible. That many people stay.
But our Sunday dinners are like,
That is
my mom's got 8 grandkids and 49 grades.
yeah, I would remember reading through it. That's why I was
Intro links.
that is incredible. See, and
And the salmon on the river's like this. Here's take your
You
raise
got
your
one.
hands, just dry it.
my parents weren't super close. Like we didn't grow up next to their siblings, and so I didn't have cousins that I was like grew up with.
And you just have one sister.
Normally we
No,
wouldn't
I
have
have two
this.
sisters and a brother, so there's 4 of us.
We wouldn't even have this
But
because this is why I so
They
why is loud?
like we just didn't grow up. I mean, they were not like bitter. It was just like they lived different lives. And my parents were kind of the black sheep for a couple different reasons. Like at the beginning, like because they were trafficked and so they got drug. You know, like
And he just thought kids
they were a little bit
were
Yeah.
kind of being forced.
on the black sheep side of things, and then
Here in Springville.
But it does change.
Oh.
to the
It does change what you can build.
the LDS church, and
In the
then
Westfield.
after that was
Westlife.
black sheep in a different way. Right.
What's their phone name?
In some
Yeah, no,
areas there
yeah,
is
no,
legitimate.
like I don't.
That could be.
And so I think that they just have always just been hippies to Mormon. I mean, and which it's quite the
They have to
matching
prove that
because they're still hippies and they're
Yeah.
still
they can
members.
make
But
the whatever. They have. There's like a higher standard.
so it's fun.
Yeah, and that's what I think.
I was not born.
Oh.
So my 2 sisters, my 2 older ones were,
Similar situation.
my 2 older sisters were born,
Where they were
and then me and my little brother were after. But it was just one of those things where they just weren't super close, and so for us,
Yeah, exactly. That's
it was
kind of what it.
normal to not be around
Yeah.
family. And so I don't think I realized like what family could really be until like when I married my husband, and I know like huge family reunions that like go generations back and different things. Like we didn't. You might have done one thing where I remember one party for my grandpa where I had people, and so it's just a totally different experience.
But they
I was there
they got wise to that.
Extended family that you get to be around, and
People were not.
Let's talk about flood insurance.
Yes, that may not be on the agenda, but sorry, we've got a public works director and a city engineer out of town, so they fell to me, and I just lost track of time. I am so sorry. So,
sounds like you were where you were supposed to be.
air conditioning feels much better. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's.
Mr. Smith is asking what contractor. For some reason, he's curious. Please tell me it's not Landmark.
Yeah, we won't. It's the one they're installing. It was a it was a joint
Is
just
it landmark?
outside of where they did the tap last night and the T. And I think it was either a previously rolled gasket or one that just gave up the ghost. Really, it wasn't a broken main. They didn't indiscriminately do it as they were just doing it. It just started leaking today right outside the trench. But yeah, it was an outfit that I think you're familiar with.
Oh boy. Glad that was away from the mic.
All right. H. All right. Tonight we are talking about a update to our flood maps. Okay, so we've had is everybody familiar with the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program? We've been participants in it in this as a city for the 21 years I've been here and beyond. If we have a flood zone and we have flood maps as a city, if we participate in it, our citizens that are in the flood zone can get reduced flood insurance costs through the federal government. Well, back in 2018, they announced a remapping of all of Utah County, updates to the maps. They did a lot for Hobble Creek up to I-15. We got all new ones there. Unfortunately for us, it was less than advantageous. We had areas of the West Fields that had never had floodplain designated. Now we had 280 homes and a lot of acreage put into the floodplain. So we've been working on that side of I-15 for a while. Provo had some different challenges, so they said, let's put Provo on hold while we do an entire study of Utah Lake. The lake has come up and down. We've had the level of compromise. So now they're establishing what the floodplain is based on Utah Lake, not on Hobble Creek. So this update is specifically for the confines of Utah Lake. Interesting fact, Utah Lake gets windy. Anybody boaters here? Been on Utah Lake in a storm? It's downright scary. It really is. They'll get 3 to 4 foot waves. So they have actually designated some areas along Lehigh and Saratoga Springs as V-zone. That is a coastal designation. So we have coastal flood insurance designations in our little inland state of Utah, but pretty crazy. So they've been remapping. They finally have come forward and said, okay, Utah Lake and Provo River with their levees have now been designated. We're going to publish new maps out. Probably haven't heard much of it because from Springville standpoint, all it's done is shrink. The maps have gotten better. The lake has receded in its footprint. They've put in pumps to hold that level of compromise. So, and most of these maps predated 1983 floods. So we're actually advantageous. It's been advantageous to us to go through this process. Consequently, as they issue new maps, FEMA mandates that we adopt the new maps and then update our ordinance to the absolute bare minimum that the federal ordinance requires. That adoption date is August 27th. So we have to have it through Planning Commission and then to City Council and adoption change. We've had 3 new panels, 534, 542, and 545 have updated. And really, nothing more than just some verbiage and one new section in Title 11-6. So that's kind of the overview of what we're going through tonight. We've talked about what is the NFIP. Our obligations are to be participants in it, administer, have a floodplain administrator. As development comes in, I enforce the floodplain ordinance. That designation is me. I'm the floodplain. Yeah, it's just another one and other duties as assigned. So it's quite fun. So this 44 CFR Part 60 is the federal code. That's the one that we have to make sure our Title 11 meets at least the minimum requirement. And if we didn't, suspension of all Springville residents' insurance policies that are backed. And it doesn't have to be, it isn't everyone. It's those homes or businesses that have a federally backed mortgage are required to have flood insurance if they're in the floodplain, if they have a structure that touches the floodplain. So west side of town, north of about Center Street, there's a bit of it. So the remapping project we talked about, 2018, all of Utah County was incorporated. There was a holdout. They were trying to hold Provo's levies to the same standard as Louisiana's levies. Once again, it's a national program being applied across the nation, but really doesn't apply much to Utah, except for we do have coastal designation in a couple areas. So final letter of determination was issued December 23rd. We were given till August 27th, 2026 to come into compliance, adopt that. So we're shooting, these dates are a little off. I did not understand or misunderstood that Title 11 needed to come to Planning Commission first before City Council. So we tabled it. This will be coming to City Council after tonight's action, pending tonight's action and recommendation. So here's the maps. Anything in the brown, it has been removed from the floodplain. The blue is the new mapped 100-year floodplain. We talk about 100-year, it's really the 0.1% chance of inundation. It could happen next year, and then it could happen the year after that. But it's just saying statistically it has a 0.1% chance of, or 1% chance, of flooding in any time period. You can see this is 1400 north. So some of the Maverick down here, the RV park to the west, we'll get a better view. But a lot of the area where a particular gas station will be coming has actually been removed from the floodplain. Very advantageous and very helpful in the process there. You can see right up here in that top left corner, that whole area was removed from the floodplain. And this is the new realigned Hobble Creek, the wildlife management area. And so you go further south, and some of these buildings that actually had to get flood insurance prior at when they were built can now stop their policies. So it's all in all, it's been fairly good. East side of the I-15 we're still working on. We're pursuing grant funding and see if we can do something to contain that and remove some of that. But tonight we're looking at just primarily the west side has changed.
How often can this be reviewed for changes? Just watching conditions.
Individual property owners, you can do LOMARs, letters of map revision. You can come in. It's a lengthy process. This was commissioned by Utah County and all the fees and cost of that covered. But if there are areas that people want to look at closer, or they've come in and elevated their property, you can do a letter of map revision based on fill. So that you can do that anytime, and a lot of people actually pursued that. You see this little square right here that seems to be out of it and was never in it. They did exactly that. They came in, said, we're going to fill our property up. Then they submitted to FEMA with that letter of map revision based on fill. It took about 18 months, but they got through. For them, they felt it was worth the money to not have to pay flood insurance. So
What's this color?
that is the floodway. So the hatched area, that's the maps that we adopted back in 2020 on that side of the freeway. But the floodway is if and when the 100-year event occurs, that's where the major velocities and the major amount of water is going to be carried. So think of it as the channel, per se, of Hobble Creek. But that one I have a very... Hobble Creek flattens out, so it jumps its banks and goes really wide. That's close to several thousand feet wide from end to end, right up next to, like by the Wavetronics property. So we're trying to get that, if we could contain it, do some type of a structure, levees or something that maybe contain it to 300 feet. Still allow the creek to be sinuous, develop some habitat for the June sucker, meet all its requirements, but not be 1,700 feet wide, and then the floodplain beyond that. The restriction on floodways, you can't do anything that would change the water level. It's considered a no-rise condition. So if you tried to build or put fill in there and it raised the flood level at all, they say no. So pretty much no construction, no building in the floodway is allowed. So that became a really, really restrictive.
Hey, Jeff, when you answered the question about petitioning them to move it out of the floodplain, maybe I missed this piece. When they send that letter or petition in, do they have to change, like for Buc-ee's, for example, do they have to lift the ground in order to get that
They physically
approval?
would have to either prove that the ground was higher than what their mapping showed, or they bring in truckloads of fill, lift it up, then they do a survey, submit it to FEMA, and prove that the elevation has changed.
Okay.
And that there hasn't been adverse effects. Like, they don't want you to fill your property and then just push all the water to your neighbor that wasn't in the floodplain and now he is.
Yeah.
On the west side of with the lake, you fill a 1 acre piece here, it really is a drop in the bucket comparatively to all of Utah Lake. So a little easier on the west side, but yeah, it's still an arduous process. It's 18 months of, I review it, then they send it to FEMA, I make sure it's good, and then oftentimes they may not republish the map. They may just keep that letter of map revision on file. So when you look at it, there'll be an asterisk or an annotation say, see this.
Got it.
So
That's why it's area of undetermined flood hazard. Is that what that color is? Or no screen, area of minimal flood hazard?
yeah, no screen was area of minimal.
Would be the Buc-ee's area, right?
Yeah, so
Making
it's
sure that-
out of.
Okay.
The brown is removed from the 100-year, but still in they call it the 500-year. Thank you. The 500-year chance. And that does not require flood insurance. We, as the floodplain administrator, FEMA says you should still talk to them. This is based on a perfect model. All it takes is logs or a beaver dam breaking loose, and this water could jump. And so anyone adjacent, they would encourage to get flood insurance if you're adjacent to the floodplain, and that's pennies on the dollar. If you're in the floodplain, then you're glad we're part of the NFIP because you get reduced rates. So,
Thank you.
yep. And then last one, you can see the other panel set right there, but I'm trying to, I believe, well, there's the Spanish Fork Airport. This would be,
Yeah, landfill's right about where you're, just lower than where your mouse is.
yep. 5-star. So that's 4
Outlook
South.
apartments and everything.
So you can see just roughly up to about Center Street. We've removed some areas through there. But north, there still is quite a bit of floodplain through there. So those are the 3 panels that really changed. Here's the 3 areas or 3 sections of the code. 2 will be amended and 1 is brand new. So 11.6.605, all it is changing the date from the latest, greatest adopted maps aren't June 19th, 2020, they're June 23rd, 2026. So that would be it. 11.6.610 adds a no-rise standard to require, as required by 44 CFR. So in certain zones, like we talked about, they must not increase the base flood elevation. So we've added that in there. And then 11.6.627 is a brand new section. It basically just says, if there's anything in the code that is incorrect, then just that section will be considered void, not the entire code itself. So serviceability is a standard. It's in a lot of contracts. The federal government added this to the code just to make sure that somebody doesn't get a loophole because I put or instead of an and that section then null and voids all of 11-6. So We looked through all of 44 CFR Part 60, compared our code to the minimum requirements of the federal code. We've met that. These are the 3 sections that had changes. So we ran this by FEMA and we ran it by the state. Both reviewed it and said, we agree with your assessment there. So they're in agreement. And once we publish this, upon recommendation and approval, then we just have to notice them that it was, here's the meeting minutes, that it was recommended by Planning Commission, approved by City Council, and move on from there. So, any questions in regards to the change in the maps or the update to the code?
It has no impact on our budget.
Absolutely none. So nothing in there would force somebody to change how they are built or what they're doing for flood protection to this point. It really was just update a date, add a no-rise contingency on areas that don't have a zone designation, which now that we have full mapping of the city, everything has an elevation attached to it.
And other than the obvious, there's no change in the general plan either, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I might.
He looked at you, Josh, just to make
Anything
sure.
on,
Okay, great. Okay.
So, and actually asking about, I don't know, the general plan or the other master plans that the city has, like active transportation, where you had mentioned in some of those, specifically the Hobble Creek floodway areas, where it's 1,700 feet, and potentially exploring the options of levees or different options to be able to narrow that down. Is there a way, or have you considered looking at options to where we can look at updating some of our other master plans to be able to provide a public benefit in doing that, whether it's trailways adjacent to or through that area?
that's actually part of the grant program we're going after. If we did levees, it's a 12-foot top, flat top on the top of the levee. Participation in, or with that, they would fund 50% recreational adaptation. So we would look at, our plan was if we got the levees, we would put trails along the top. We would look at avenues to invite people back to the creek. Right. And so we've trying to partner with other, the June Sucker, Trouts Unlimited, things like that would like people back to the creek. And yeah, they would fund certain percentages of recreation and other things with this overall flood protection.
Okay. Yeah, that was, I guess,
Great idea.
Yeah, my main question was just in terms of budget impact and
Yeah.
as we're exploring it, if we're considering other options. So
Yep.
thank you for that.
So there is an impact ultimately if we do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, if we get that funding, that grant, then yeah, that was one I've been pursuing this since 2020. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, the federal government. But yeah, we've looked at opportunities to do everything, enhance that whole corridor, and definitely get the recreation components we would want and need down there.
Is it, and this is maybe not a question directly for you, but it seems like that could almost be its own separate master plan, as like a Hobble Creek transportation master plan, where it connects Hobble Creek to the rest of the Springville city or something like that, to where, again, we're double dipping or triple dipping, however we want to.
From
Yeah.
a strategic perspective, I think this is such a great comment because in the past, that's why we're kind of in the predicament we're in with our trail system, because we didn't think of that stuff in the past. I think it's a great comment for that reason.
Would the cost of levies be all on us though, or would that?
Right
Would they
now,
share
we're
in that?
pursuing grant funding. There is a participation from the city, a match portion, but we're trying to work that out through either property that we already have donated or work we've already put in, trying to make as much of a soft match as we possibly could with that. But again, we just submitted on another round of a flood mitigation grant. The mayor signed a letter supporting it. We've gotten a letter of support from Congressman Kennedy's office in regards to it. So we've been trying to rattle every cage possible and get the support there. We're just in the environmental stage. When that gets completed, then we'll go to design, bring that through. And the grants we've received thus far have covered 100% of the environmental and will cover 100% of the actual design as well. So
Well, thank you for considering those options.
A quick question, actually a couple quick questions. One is, it looks like mainly commercial properties impacted by the change in the maps. Are you aware of any houses or residential areas that have been impacted by this new map?
Not adversely. If you go here, I think some of Lakeside Landing, the boundary has actually receded somewhat. Like I said, everything on the west side for us has shrunk, so it's been a benefit. But I think it's been mostly beneficial to the commercials adjacent to the I-15. But I don't know of any homes on the west side that it's affected.
Nice. So as a resident kind of comms-oriented person, this seems like an opportunity for the city to deliver good news to property owners and households. Is that being considered, or is there a plan to let all these property owners know
Yes.
that this changed basically beneficially to them?
Every one of the property owners have been noticed if the floodplain was on their property and there was a change, they have been notified by the state, the county, and FEMA themselves.
Nice.
So
Okay, great.
How does every city basically participate in this program, the federal one? I mean, are there examples of cities that are acting without, not under this stipulation?
unless they don't have a drainage that, like, I don't know if Mapleton has a creek that is under the jurisdiction of FEMA. So if they don't have a waterway that requires or has a floodplain, then they don't participate.
Okay.
But most of the cities that do, it's very advantageous and almost minimal impact to the city to enforce it. It's just really having somebody oversee, make sure that development submits a permit, you review it, and you get the elevation. Like, to develop in a floodplain, the main requirement is the bottom floor of your building, residence, whatever, has to be at least 2 feet above the floodplain elevation. That and a few other requirements are the main things we look at. But yeah, if they don't have a stream or a creek or a lake that is spring-fed due to runoff.
There are some cities that it just isn't applicable to,
Yep.
but any of the cities that it is applicable to, like this program is.
Most of the ones, yeah. I attend a conference every year to keep my CEUs up to date, my education there, and there's cities from all over the state there. Cedar, I mean, up and down the Wasatch Front, because they all have. All it took is one good flood year to realize maybe this was worth the effort. So
I think I'm just wary of, we've always been a part of it, so we need to continue being a part of it. Not that it sounds dangerous or it sounds like it's a beneficial. I just think that that's a dangerous road to just say, we've been here and we just need to keep being here. And I just want to make sure we're questioning.
yeah, no, absolutely. But I definitely think the benefits outweigh it gives the residents, those who have flood insurance, the opportunity for lower rates, and we're doing what we can to try to even get more and more of them out of the floodplain. So
I'm sure they thank you for that.
And to Raya's point, though, like, to the general citizen of Springville, there's little to no effect in terms of cost to them to be a part of this, and it's really mainly administrative on your part.
correct.
Okay.
Yep. It's updating the code and make sure we're enforcing any development in that floodplain and floodway.
So that this can be a benefit to the citizens that it relates to.
It's, I mean, the ordinance is flood prevention, I think flood damage prevention ordinance. We're trying to keep people, save them from themselves, instead of building so they're 3 foot below the creek, and when the creek does overtop, washes away their home or something like that. We're just saying, okay, you can develop your property, let's just do it in a smart way that would allow, if there is a high water event, to protect property
Yeah,
and everything.
I did disaster restoration for 20 years, and if you're borderline need it, you need to have it. I've seen too many people not be underinsured or uninsured, and it just is devastating. So
It seems like, though,
borderline, just get it.
Hunter, to your question, the cost comes downstream with development to meet the higher regulatory standards that FEMA would imply. So it's on the builders, developers, and homeowners to have to meet those higher standards.
Yeah, and from a national standard, there's some areas that get significant spring runoff or flooding potential, and they've basically said no development in the floodplain. They've gone, federal government allows for development if you meet these criterias. They've elevated it and said, we're just going to protect that corridor and prevent any homes from going there. So we've at least done the minimum, said let's still allow you to develop, but yeah, here's the standards to do it.
Any other questions?
Not for me.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Well done.
That is it.
Okay. Now at this time, we would like to open a public hearing for anyone that would like to come make a comment.
Seeing as no one's coming forward, I move to close the public hearing.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any discussion? Further
Yeah.
discussion?
I just think it's good to reinforce the comment you made and just make sure we think strategically about this in terms of planning as well, and not just, fulfill this governmental requirement and make sure that I love the idea of stretching our trail system down there and all this, but that will impact our budget, so we need to keep that in mind as well.
And that's actually I actually think it might be a good idea to have Jeff, as you're looking at all of this and working with those grants, to have you even coordinate with our community board on how that we can start to implement some of that, your process that you have to go through into a potential master plan. So that, again, yeah, there's just more intention behind it that also is getting public feedback as well.
Yeah, from the standpoint of, from the plan, environmental assessment and watershed plan that we're working on right now, it's really looking at options. What are the ones, and then what's the impact to all those? If we did levees, what would it impact? We'd have to look at endangered species, and we've got Ute lady trusses, other things like that adjacent to the creek. All these environmental things I'm learning, so right now it's meeting the federal side of things with the design, where they then say, okay, here's some tools that are allowed. Now let's go get a final, we're maybe at 30% design. As we go forward with the final design, yeah, we'd look at input from what's the parks master plan? What are the trails master plan? What are some thoughts here? So all of that would be incorporated in that design, and absolutely we'd take the input there.
Okay.
Sweet.
Anything else?
No more comments.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move that we adopt the ordinance as presented. And this is the that one. An ordinance amending Title 11, Chapter 6 of the Springville City Code, Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance, to meet the minimum requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program regulations in 44 CFR Part 63D, and to formally adopt the new flood insurance study FIS report and flood insurance rate maps for Utah County and incorporated areas effective June 23rd, 2026, as presented.
Raya, sorry, we're actually not acting on the ordinance. We're making a recommendation. We're recommending that the council approve.
So I move to recommend.
Yes.
Can I just not repeat that? And can I say I recommend everything I just said?
I'd take that motion.
I'll second, let's go.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and it passes on to the city council. And if there's,
It says adopt here, right? Did I do it wrong?
no,
This was written for when they took it to the city
Well,
council.
see, and I was
before.
reading this official, like I was over here.
You have to wait to do that till you're on council.
In due time.
I'm good if you know that.
so if there's nothing else, Josh? No? Anything? Okay. Then I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yes.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Heather, would you like this back?
Oh, boy.
Nope, unless you want me to recycle it.
Probably.
That's a lot of paper.
Makes some good late evening reading.
What's that?
I couldn't see that. It's way too small for me, yeah. My eyeballs.